Greetings, everyone. My name is Dr. Tiffany Taft, and I am the owner operator of Sacred Soul Wellness. I am an integrative health and wellness therapist utilizing ancient wisdom and modern science. What do? I provide mind-body connection products and services that helps us all to live well. I am so honored to be speaking at Mega Conference 21. I have been asked to bring a little ray of sunshine, a little bit of wellness into our health. And so let me start by saying, and I want you all to remember this until the very end and beyond. Healthcare begins with self-care. Healthcare begins with self-care. What do I mean by that? Well, let me start by telling you my very own personal journey to wellness. I started out in traditional healthcare. I was a hands-on clinician in the Navy. I was a hospital corpsman, and so I was doing patient care. And while I love all things Western medicine, there came a point in my life where I thought there was a better, more long-term way to benefit from the very things that I needed to change in my life. And what do I mean by that? Well, yes, I had very real medical conditions, and I saw many patients that also had very real medical conditions. Some of it genetics, but most of it was lifestyle. And for me personally, while I do have and did have certain medical things happening in my life, I thought and I knew that there was a better way in which to manage that care for myself. Don't get me wrong, I fully believe in Western medicine, but where what Western medicine has come to fail some of us, Eastern medicine and other ancient wisdom concepts have long been there, and it's proven, it's scientific, and it's been researched. And so, what I offer you in my message today, we're talking about self care. And so, as you may have read, the topic of this is taking charge of your health and well being. And I am a super proponent of people being their own advocate in their own healthcare. For me, my journey into healthcare started when I joined the military. And unfortunately, I was injured while on active duty, which left me with a broken femur. And so from time to time, I do have arthritic changes in my knee that causes me pain. And of course, the natural processes of aging, there are things that I just can't do anymore that I could do when I was much younger. And there are things that I used to handle emotionally that I handle very differently now that I'm older. And I don't know about you, but the older I get, sometimes with certain things, the less patience I have. And so finding proven significant ways in which to manage how I approach and how I engage others is important to me. My wellness, my self care is imperative, it's non negotiable. I know that I have to be at my best. And what does that look like for me? My self care has varied over the years. I used to think all I needed was a great massage and I was good. I used to be a runner. I could run and I was good. But I've found as I've aged and I've learned more about what this real connection to this body means, is that I need stuff that requires me to dig deeper, to really understand how my choices affect not only my physical body, but my emotional body. And what does that mean? For me, it meant asking myself some difficult questions, looking at my history, understanding my path to where I am today, and how best could I use my education and my knowledge but also my genuine desire to help others with the information that I knew and that I was learning. So for me, my self care today, it requires me to get rest. It requires me to eat right. It requires me to exercise. It requires me to use a two-letter word that says a whole lot and offers me peace. That word is no. It took me a long time to get comfortable with saying no to certain things. And I hear you. You're probably saying, Dr. Tiffany, I work for someone else. I have a family. I have a significant other. I have responsibilities. And there are just times that I can't say no. And I completely get that. But what I offer you or I ask you to consider is an exercise that I usually start out with. And that's asking two simple questions. Number one, what are you most grateful for? You see, many of us don't ever take a moment just to be still and really review all of the life's blessings that we have because all we see are the things that we don't have. We focus on what's missing instead of what's actually there and present for us. When you sit in gratitude, you honor the space in which the great gratefulness can show up for you. I bet each of you can think of exactly one thing, probably many more, that you can be grateful for. I can think of one that all of us can be grateful for, and that is we have breath and life. We woke up. Imagine how many people, close to us even, that didn't simply wake up. I am grateful for every new day that I get. And the second question I would pose to you is what is that one thing that you no longer need, that no longer serves you, that doesn't offer you anything? It doesn't add anything to your life. How are you and what are you going to do about that thing? How long are you going to allow it to take up space, to take up time, to drain you of the energy that you need and could use somewhere else? What is that one thing? I know we have many. I have had, there's friends that I've lost or people that I thought were friends that I lost. There are family members that I don't know, they just stopped talking, and coworkers, jobs, relationships, the whole nine, you name it, it's probably happened to me. And if I sat and I really thought about everything that I lost, that could be a really sad day. But I choose not to focus on the things that I lost, but rather the lessons that I've learned and the experiences that I've gained from those lessons. Loss doesn't always have to be about sadness and not seeing or not hearing or not getting what you want, but look deeper for the lesson because that's where the joy comes from. And also why the self care is so important. Be gentle with yourself and know that every day that you get another day is a new day and a new opportunity to get it right. So I want to take just a moment to do one simple activity to start, and that is simply learning how to breathe. We are so often busy that we don't simply take a breath. And thank goodness that taking a breath or breathing is an automatic function that we don't have to think about. Because if we had to think about breathing or blinking the eye, it probably wouldn't happen. And how many times have, people been talking to you and you're not really tuned in to what they're saying, but rather you're already thinking about your next response. And they haven't even finished what they're talking about. That's not being present. That's not serving you, and that's not serving them. How many times have you been holding your breath, but not even realizing that you're actually holding the breath? Do you know you're depriving yourself of necessary oxygen to the brain? How many brain cells have we mindlessly destroyed because we're holding the breath? So, this very simple exercise of breathing, I find it quite often in individuals. When I ask them to take a breath, they shrug the shoulders up, there's a lifting. All of that is not necessary for a full and authentic breath. If you want to actually feel the breath, I invite you to practice this simple exercise. So if you're seated, come to the edge of your seat. That will force your spine to be more in alignment, but also start to open up the hips and the low back, as well as the chest and the back itself. We want a full embodiment of this breath because that breath is giving us life. And who doesn't want that? So, with this breath, I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable to do so. And if you're not comfortable in closing the eyes, just find a space off in the distance that's a focal point for you. And this is an exercise that you literally can practice anywhere, anytime, especially in stressful situations. When that person that has just been getting on your nerves consistently, asking questions or irritating you in some way, or someone does something or says something that bothers you and you want to react, try taking a breath first before you offer a response. And know that every single time that something happens, it doesn't necessarily require a response. Oftentimes, in the pause of the breath, you'll find clarity of the response that you need to give or not give. All right, let's take a breath. So, with the breath, I'm going to invite you to place one hand over the belly, one hand over the heart. As you take this breath, take a deep belly breath. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. As you do so, on the exhale, make it audible so that it's forceful and you know that you're fully emptying out those lungs. It should look and sound a little something like this. As you sit with those breaths, you should immediately notice a calmness that happens. The blood pressure is lowered. Your stress or anxiety level should be lower. There should be a little bit more clarity in your thought. Maybe your vision is even clearer. And there's a peace about what's happening around you. The breath is important to life, it connects us to our very being. On my journey to self care and to wellness, I found a lot of emotional and physical trauma in the body that was restraining me. And I needed ways in which to cope and to deal with my own stuff in order to be able to deal with individuals and situations and circumstances around me. My wellness and my self care has evolved over years. Like I said, from everything from running, walking, swimming, massages, to now I have an active yoga practice, an active meditation practice, an active breath work practice. And yes, I still indulge in massage and body work. I am a full believer that that 1 hour, that 30 minutes, that 90 minutes that you take out for you, that is the one time that you don't have to do anything but enjoy someone else taking care of you. And I realize for many, you say, that's a luxury. I don't have extra money for that. And I invite you to figure out there's something in your life that you're spending money on that is not really serving or giving back to you. And I personally think you can't afford not to have a massage or body work done because it is the time, like I said, where someone else is serving you. Someone else is showing up solely to help you usher you through your healing and your wellness. So let's talk about a few things. So much healing and repair is needed. We've all just recently come out of 2020. Of course, we know it was a pandemic year, none like no other, or none like no other recent. And it really set a lot of people back. So if you weren't a person that enjoyed isolation and quiet time and being still, the pandemic was very traumatic for you. And we as adults, you as educators, me as a service provider, it's no different for us. For me, it wasn't a problem for me to be still, to be quiet. I quite enjoyed the time that I was in isolation and I had to be in quarantine because for me, it allowed the busyness of life to literally, it was forced to be stopped. And I had time to do other things that I just literally didn't have time, didn't make space for because I was so busy in life. And that's the one thing I realized for me that I learned how much time I wasted on social media that was like for pure luxury, mindless stuff. Um, but then, relationships, I missed my friends. I missed my church members. I missed travel. I missed the beach. I missed road trips. I missed getting on a plane. I missed hanging out with friends, not to mention being in close proximity. Where now these things, while we're getting more acclimated back into what the new norm is looking like, there's still some, I realize how close people were really standing next to me. Now that kind of bothers me because I noticed that, I know we can't always have, personal space not be invaded, but there are just some general everyday situation. You're like, hey, you're really much closer to me than you really should be. I need some space. And so being okay to say that is important. So for me, I realized, going into the fall with you as educators and students coming back to the classroom, and many of you may be returning to the classroom, there's going to be a new dynamics happening there. And so for you, now is a great opportunity to begin to prepare or start your own self care regimen, whatever that looks like for you as you move yourself back into the classroom, as you move yourself back into the normal dynamics of a working environment with other educators, with other administrators, whatever your role may be in the state of Alabama's educational system, being a part of community is important. And I think all of us have missed on some level the social engagement and exchange that being out offers. But please don't discount the importance of sitting silent and sitting still and getting to know yourself and being with your own thoughts. It is important to have that connection. Did you know that meditation is like hanging out with your soul? It allows you to literally sit and pray and focus on the things that you need, the things that you desire, the things that offer you clarity on next steps. If you're constantly ripping and running with errands for yourself or for your children or for loved ones, especially if you're care providers, that's a lot of pressure. And if you never make time for yourself, at some point, this physical body will sit you down. And so it's a lifestyle choice that we must make. And that's exactly what I had to do for myself. I realized as I was off chasing the corporate ladder and trying to be all I could be and living in big city and traveling and seeing most amazing places, the one thing I could truly say is when I had an opportunity to slow down or to be still and to fully be present in the environments in which nurtured me most, those are the things that I remember and I wanted the most. And so for me, self care is anything that allows me the space to stay connected to Source, to God, something greater than myself. It is a moment in meditation. It is a moment in prayer. It is a moment in meaningful connection with another individual. That's important to me. And then serving of myself. How do I meet my basic needs? We all have things in common. We all are born, we all breathe, we all require nutrition, we all require rest, we all require connection and communication. Did you know that touch was our first form of communication? And we all thrive from touch. It's a form of communication. So, what's the difference between thriving and surviving? Because many of us, for a very long time, have simply been surviving. And so, when I think about surviving, I think merely existing. Again, you're not fully present, you're just going through the motions. That is exhausting. At least for me, it was. And that's not how I wanted to live my life. That's not how I wanted to or needed to show up. Again, like I said, there's so much healing needed. There's so many people hurting for various reasons around. When I look at what people don't have, what people desire to have, and how I can help, it fuels me more to find a way to make that happen, to be the change, like Gandhi said, be the change you wish to see. And so every day I seek an opportunity to be that light to someone, to be that bright beacon for someone, to encourage someone, to give them hope. You can only do that when you've taken care of yourself. And what did I say? Healthcare is self care. So let's think about this. The healthcare system as we know it today, while it is most amazing Western medicine, we have some very strong Eastern medicine concepts that brings ancient wisdom and it meets modern science. The one thing that modern science has brought to us, many would say, is medications, is surgeries, the COVID-19 vaccine. It is solutions and opportunities to fix a condition in the moment. And why do we look that? We're human, right? We all want the quick fix. Nobody wants to do the work. But I'm here to tell you, at some point, you have to do the work. The doctors certainly can patch you up. They can certainly give you a medication or do a surgery for just about, if not everything. But is that how you wish to live your life? Self care is part of lifestyle. It's how you ebb and flow, it's how you exist. It's how I believe we all should want to live. Live by our choices, are healthy choices, are choices that serve our greater soul, not by prescription medication, not by surgery, and not by out of necessity of the quick fix. Don't get me wrong. I love all things healthcare, but I also love all things wellness. I think they are a perfect marriage between the two because while there is space and time, there's an appropriate space and time for the medication and the surgery. There's equal, if not more, opportunity for us to make that very dynamic shift in our mindset about what is important to us and how we wish to live. Lifestyle is very important because our health care is self care. So I want to ask you a few questions. Let's see if I can find my notes. What is the difference in wellness versus well being? Think about that. How would you answer that question? When I think of wellness, wellness is a state of being. It's optimal health, it's health and fitness, it's how we move and operate every day, right? And well being is a state of being comfortable. It's happy, being healthy. It's our overall emotional and physical health. Wellness is how we actively engage and be consistent in the care. Well being encompasses that emotional as well as physical aspect of us as a being. I already asked you what's the difference between survive and thrive. So think about that and answer that for yourself. I am thriving. I'm literally doing more than just the minimum to live the full expression of this life experience. I show up every day, not only for myself, but for the people around me. And for when those times I feel like it's too much white noise, too much activity, I have tools in my toolkit that will allow me to retreat and restore and nurture myself whole so that I can show up again for them. So, how would you rate your overall well being on a scale of 1 to 10? 0 being, I'm not doing anything. I don't have a practice. I don't even know how to spell self care. To, I'm doing a rock star, amazing job. 10, I have tools in my toolkit and I use these toolkits daily. Or are you somewhere in between? And I would dare say, even with all of my knowledge and education and my fully loaded toolkit, I'm probably somewhere 6 or 7 because I have my good days and bad days. And there are times where I have to tweak the tools a little bit and figure out what's working best for me in that moment. And that's okay. There are very few people that have reached a pure 10 where they're totally enlightened and very little rocks their ebb and flow of life. So we have situations that come up. It's okay to fall down. Just revisit the toolbox and get back in tune with self. So I would also ask you, how important is optimal health for you? And what does that look like for you? Optimal health is different for everyone. For some, it's simply being able to get up every day and do whatever it is they do just one more day. For others, it's moving and operating without pain in their lower back, headaches, migraines, stress, anxiety, depression, smoking. It's being able to not do that thing or not have that pain. It's a struggle. These are real people and real problems, and that may be you. So, what are some of the things that you, as educators, experience on a daily basis in your work environment, in your home environment that maybe you take to work? What are those things that you experience that maybe you could shift and have a different viewpoint of how you can turn that into some self care rituals or offer suggestions on how to improve the situations? In the past month, how often would you say you've suffered from headaches or from stress, anxiety, or some other malady that has really kept you down? And you finally said, enough is enough. I bet many of us are probably lacking sleep. Did you know that the only time that the body truly and fully heals is when we are able to get to that deep, restful sleep? So imagine if you say, "Oh, I'm good, Dr. Taft. I sleep. I get 4 or 5 hours and I'm good." But did you know on average, we're all walking and working sleepy? On average, the most adults need 7 to 8 hours, if not more, of restful sleep. It is a time when the body repairs. It is a time when your mind repairs. It is the time when your soul repairs. And so if it's interrupted because you're eating, because you're still up on your cell phones or your laptops, you're still working, you're still engaged in activity, the body's not able to rest and is certainly not able to repair. That's not optimal health. What things are you going to change? Maybe it needs to be a few things, but start with 1 or 2 things that are simple that you can commit to. And remember, this is for you. This is solely for you. Everyone else around you simply benefits because you decided to show up for you. What activities do you do just for fun? For me, yoga is fun. For me, being out in the park, being next near a beach or at the beach is fun. Hiking is fun. Listening to music is fun. Playing with little ones. The little ones, so much energy. Not too much, but just enough so that I remember the little girl in me. The laughter is important. That keeps you young. So these are just a few things that I invite you to consider of how you can begin to transition into your own self care. Because we're coming out of a year, like I said, where so many people were sick. So it may have been you. So many people have died around us. There's been so much sadness and heartache and financial pain and physical pain, emotional pain. There's been a lot going on. And as you re engage your classrooms, I need you to know that you're supported and that you have options that you can start now. If you want to start programs in your school or your classroom and you haven't brought it up to your administrators, start to think about what those programs and those activities need to look like. Because I promise you, you know what our youth looks like here in this state. There's work to be done. There's work to be done. And it counts, it needs to count for more than what is happening in the classroom. Sometimes it requires a one-on-one conversation. You know if you're not putting in the time with those students in the way that your classroom students need you. You know if you need to invoke another type of program. You know if they need a different type of support. That's going to come up. And the only way that these things will show what they really need to look like is if you yourself are able to fully embrace your healthcare into self care. So, as I sit here for a moment, I want you to think about the breath work, the meditation, the movement. How are you going to incorporate one or all three of those things? Maybe it's nutrition, maybe it's getting moving, getting more active. What are you going to do to start to show up for you? Because your well being and your wellness is important. As we're all connected beings and we all have a purpose here, it is important that you know that your role as an educator is more than just to teach them what's in those books. Some of that stuff has to come off the pages and into real life. You have to share your lived experience so that you are more relatable, not only to the students, but to your peers, to your fellow educators, to your fellow administrators. Be relatable. Be leaders in your space. Offer suggestions and recommendations. Don't just offer complaints. I know that everything is not perfect. I'm not in your space every day. I'm not in your lane, so I don't know all the specifics of what goes into making your day happen or the things that are outside of your control. I understand. There's a lot of work to be done across the board. But the work that you can do is why we're here. And that's turning your healthcare into self-care. Focus on you. When you get you right, everything else around you will start to transition as well. So as I begin to close, I want us to remember a few things. Mindfulness is simply recognizing an activity, or there can be noises, it can be activities happening around you, it can be people, things are happening in your close vicinity. But you don't necessarily focus on it. You acknowledge it, you acknowledge the thought, and then you release it. I often get asked or told when I ask people, have you practiced? Do you have a meditation practice? And they'll say, oh, I can't sit long enough. My mind is constantly racing. Well, why is the mind constantly racing? I invite you to start with a short meditation practice before you even get out of bed in the morning. It doesn't have to be focused on anything. Remember, I said mindfulness is being aware of the thought and releasing it. So if you just spend 1 minute before you even get out of bed, be grateful, number one, for the breath that you took that woke you up. Be grateful that you're able to get up and move. Take the breath, move the body, and be thankful before you even get out of bed. Because we all know once we're up and about, the phone is going off, the text messages are going off, spouses, significant others, children, school, everything. Life is beginning to happen. You have to put in the work. There is no quick fix, there's no easy fix, and it is an evolution through your lifetime. It is super important now more than ever. This is not a buzzword, although in 21, self-care is one of the top 10 things that people are definitely focused on and committed to making the change. Know what is important to you. Okay, so with that, I'm going to leave you with a few thoughts. Identify one thing that you're going to do and add to your toolkit so that you can start showing up for you. Start small. It doesn't have to be big, but make it something that you can relate to and that you're willing to commit to. Something simple. If you know you need to drink more water, drink more water. That could be 1 glass more, a half glass more, and then work your way up to whatever you think that volume needs to look like. If you're not eating breakfast, start to make breakfast. If you're not eating balanced meals, start to eat more balanced. Have more color on your plate. Be nutritionally sound because what you feed the body is what will show up physically, emotionally, and mentally from the body. Identify your one thing. Make a plan and empower yourself to stay committed to that plan. Identify one thing you need to continue if you already have a plan, and then add something else to that plan that can nurture your soul. Commit, commit, commit. I can't tell you how many times I've started things, I've written things down. I'm all excited about this plan, and what happens? I didn't commit, it fell apart, and I feel like I failed. That's okay. If you recognize that you failed and you didn't fully commit, re engage, recommit. Don't wait for your body to tell you and to show you that it is out of alignment in order for you to make that commitment. Identify the one thing you need to stop. This includes people and things. Get those toxic people out of your life. Get those toxic things, the activities, the stuff. Get it out of your life. If it doesn't serve you, if it doesn't add value to you, get it out of your life. If you want to feel lighter, more engaged, get the toxic stuff out of your life. Recommit to your goals. If you already made goals, recommit to them. Stick to them and know that they will show up for you. So I thank you for allowing me to show up for you today, for allowing me to share just a few items from my toolkit of how I was able to take charge of my health and my well being. I hope that you will go by a mantra, pick a mantra that speaks to you, and remember, healthcare is self care. So I want to read you one last thing before I leave. And this is about self care. It says, self care is not selfish, it's loving yourself. Take care of you and make your happiness a priority. It is necessary. How we care for ourselves gives our brains messages that shapes our self-worth. So we must care for ourselves in every way, every day. So as a part of part 2 of this presentation, I have provided a movement and a meditation, short meditation and movement practice. Take the practice for what it is. Use it as an opportunity to engage your breath, to move your body, and to start some form of a practice yourself. I promise this practice is for all bodies at any activity level. It is not super hard, and you will feel better. You may feel a little tight or sore, achy, especially if you're not super athletic or have been moving a lot. You haven't been super active, but you will feel much better in your physical and emotional body. Use it as a tool to get started. If you have any questions, my contact information has been provided as a part of this presentation. Please feel free to reach out to me with any specific questions you may have on your own holistic wellness journey, and I'd be happy to answer those questions. Again, my name is Dr. Tiffany Taft, and I am an integrative health and wellness therapist focused on the whole of you, mind, body, and spirit. Thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.
Next, we will explore the benefits of foot reflexology. So in this session, we're actually going to explore the many benefits to foot reflexology. If you've never had a full body massage before, or one that's uncomfortable getting completely undressed on the table, the foot reflexology is an amazing way to introduce your body to a total body overall balance and well-being. On the feet, there are several different reflex points that correspond to all of the major systems and organs in the body. And so in today's session, I will be exploring those sections on her feet in order to see if there are any particular imbalances that she's experiencing today. In addition, I will be using a few different oils to help support her health and well-being. On Guard will be used as protection. Frankincense will be used for overall balance, well-being, healing. Balance, which is a blend, again, to support the overall body balance. And lavender, which is a great oil for stress, anxiety, and supporting restful sleep. I'm going to cover the leg that I'm not working on and leave the one that I will start on uncovered. So the first oil I'm going to use actually will be On Guard. It would be for balance. And with that oil, I'm going to use a little bit of frankincense, which, as we discussed in another segment, is known as the king of oils. So when you're not really sure what to use for whatever situation you have going on, frankincense is that all-purpose oil just for that. All right, so starting at the tops of the toes, think about anatomically how your body is laid out. So from the top of the toes, you have the top of the head, your eyes, your nose, your sinuses. In the crease of the toes would be your neck. On the bottom side of the feet, you have the chest. So you have your heart and your lungs. Coming down towards the center, you actually have the digestive system. So in this area, we're going to have colon, spleen, liver, gallbladder, and the stomach. And then towards the bottom of the feet, we'll have the lower back area. Starting at the top, this area is known as our vertebrae. So if you think about literally your backbone, so coming from the base of the skull, in the top half is the cervix, so along the big toe. Then the next section is the thoracic area, so the area in between the shoulder blades. The middle section would be the lumbar, so coming into your lower back. And then at the base is going to be sciatica, where most of us have our low back pain, is in the sciatic area. So foot reflexology is just like full body massage in that you can have it as often. I usually recommend clients coming at least once a month for maintenance, more often if you have specific issues going on with your feet, or in a health condition such as maybe a neuropathy, or dealing with diabetes, and so you may have some nerve damage or imbalances that you're feeling as a result of the disease. And then there's a whole host of medical conditions, everything from high blood pressure, cholesterol, obesity, stress and anxiety, of course, and foot-specific conditions that can benefit from a foot reflexology session. Again, foot reflexology can be used in place of a full body session, especially, number one, if you don't want to get undressed on the table, or you just don't have as much time. We'll be right back. Today we're going to discover the healing powers of essential oils. You may inhale them, you may use them topically, or you may ingest them. So I challenged some friends to incorporate 5 different essential oils into a juice challenge. And we made different juices and incorporated a single oil for each day. So I've brought in a few of my friends to talk about their experience with this challenge. And so, Sylvia, can you tell me what was how did you feel on the challenge? Tell me how you felt before and as you were going through the process, and then after, how did you feel?
Well, let me just say, first of all, I was really excited after I started to read some of the literature that you had given me. And I was particularly interested in just seeing what the process was. And after I got involved in it, each day it was better for me. At first I thought, all of this juice, this is not going to be enough food.
And had you ever juiced before?
No, this was the first time. First time. And I was amazed at how fulfilling and satisfied I was after drinking the juice and using the oils for the first time, because this was the first time I really had ingested oils too. I had been using it topically before, but using it in the different juices kind of really just accentuated the flavors of the juices.
And so was it easy for you to tell which particular oil that you were putting inside of the juice?
Especially the ginger. Could easily tell that. And the lemon and the lime I really liked too. So it was a good experience for me.
That's awesome. And then, so Ruby, tell us about your experience. Was this your first time juicing as well?
It was my first time juicing, and I too, like Sylvia, was a little scaled back on putting oil into ingesting the oil. I like the oil on me topically because I use it for different boils that I have. And I've really seen a big difference in the healing process. And I'm on the goal of holistic healing, using more natural products to be able to make my body well instead of digesting a lot of pills and different things. I use it for aches and pains, and I can tell the difference when I use it.
Were there any side effects? Because I know when we do like juicing, especially, depending on what your diets are like, the nutrition, your detoxing process itself some people don't have any issue at all. And for me, I'm pretty much a clean eater. So my detox process was, I had crazy hunger pains. Like that second day in, I was starving. But I didn't have the headaches. I wasn't sluggish. I didn't, feel tired. But what was your experience, Sylvia? Did you experience any type of detoxing?
Yes, I did. Nausea at first was a concern for me. But as the oils and the juices got into my system, I found also that I was eliminating more, which was a good thing.
Exactly. The whole intent of the detoxing itself. Good.
I agree
Ruby?
with Sylvia. I think I didn't have nausea, but I had the slightness of headaches, little slight headaches. But the eliminating that toxin out my body, that you just really don't realize that. And I'm not a clean eater, unfortunately. But I can tell the difference in the eliminating process that I need to change my diet in a very clean eating diet. And I've started growing a few of my fruits and vegetables. And it was funny because I was telling my dad I bought plants, so I'm just waiting for him to plant them for me. And when the fruits start and the vegetables start growing and we bring them in the house, I'm like, okay, this is what my grandparents went on. And that's why longevity was with them, because they ate from the garden they grew.
Exactly.
And as we progress in life, we begin to notice some of the things that they did that made a difference for us. So I enjoyed it, and I have continued it.
Beautiful.
Because juicing wasn't my thing. But now that I'm in it, I want to see the full process for it. And I have my son on it, and he's a juicer. He likes stuff like this.
Gotcha.
This is his thing. So I'm excited that I'm a part of this journey.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see how it continues.
Awesome. For detoxing, if you've never detoxed before, 5 days is about the perfect amount of time that you want to start out on a 5-day challenge yourself for detoxing. It's not going to tax the body too much, and then you won't feel like you've also overcommitted and may feel like you're failing at it because you haven't committed to doing it for too long. Once you get accustomed to it, you can certainly expand it or shorten it, and it's great to do detoxing seasonally. Some people do it quarterly, but a lot of people just do it with the seasons, and it's a great way to clear mind, body, and spirit and kind of just press restart.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Your Day on the Mend. This is Mega 21, and we are going to get moving and breathing as we've been talking about taking charge of your health and well-being. There's so many ways that you can take charge of your own health and well-being, and this will just be one way in which you can incorporate into your daily practice. This will be informal, so if you haven't already, we're going to do a little yoga and meditation practice. If you haven't already gathered your things, please do so. You'll need a yoga mat, maybe blocks or something to assist you in some of the poses. It won't be anything too radical, but just in case you need some additional support in the body, it would be nice to have blocks. A bolster or a blanket for when we get to the end for a little bit of support as well. If you've never practiced yoga before, no worries. This practice is for everyone, and simply is really going to be more about the stretching and the breath work to help open the body and release the tension and stress that we often feel from working in our daily jobs where we're sitting, where we may be heavy lifting. We may even just have regular everyday stressors. And so this is a great way to take an adult time out, if you will, but it's also a great way to practice along with family and friends. But if you are wanting that more centering, quiet time practice, this is the practice for you. All right. So I like to call this just simply the quiet check-in. And we'll start with a little bit of breath work. So come to a comfortable seated position that can be cross-legged as I am here, or you can have your legs straight out in front of you. All right. And any of the poses that I give, if you're unable to do the pose itself or the modification that I give, just slowly work with intention to get to the expression of that pose, because all of it counts. The important thing is that you are moving and that you are doing the breath work, right? We want to do things that help to quiet the mind so that we can hear what it is that we need to be doing. So again, come to the comfortable seated position with legs straight out in front or legs crossed. And here we're going to just close the eyes if you're okay or comfortable in doing so. Bring the palms of the hands facing forward and straight up. That draws energy into the body. So we want palms up if you need a little bit more energy, or palms down if you find that you are racing a little bit and like to kind of settle down more in the body. Either way, there's no right or wrong way whatever works best for you. Taking a deep breath, we're coming from the belly, just below the belly button, and we're going to bring the breath all the way up through the chest, through the back of the throat, out the mouth with force. All right? Right hand over the belly, left hand over the chest. Take a deep breath in and release out. Take another deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Take another deep breath in, out through the mouth. Last one, in, out through the mouth. And as you sit here, begin to scan the body, looking for any areas of tension or strain where you might be holding the body extra tight in guarded position. We want to begin to invite the body to relax. Taking a few deep breaths at your own pace, knowing that yoga is really about the union of the breath that we take and the movements that we make with our body. Take a few deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. You can leave your hands as I have them here, or you can relax them comfortably again over the knees, whichever is more comfortable for you. We'll be seated here for just a little bit. Begin the scan of the body at the top of the head, coming to the soles of the feet. Scan very slowly, looking for areas again of tightness, restriction, discomfort. Coming behind the eyes, begin to soften the eyes. Coming in between the ears, bringing an awareness to the noises and the tingling, the sounds that we hear around us, but we don't stay there. We're just mindful of the activity around us. You may even hear a little noise in my background, but hopefully it is not distracting and you're focused more inward as opposed to outward. Continue your scans behind the throat, coming into the shoulders. If you find that your shoulders feel like they're closer to your ears than normal, take a deep breath here, raising the shoulders up towards the ears, gently rotating the shoulders back so those shoulders blades relax down onto the back. Do a few of those rotations, in through the nose, out through the mouth. In with the breath, lift the shoulders, out with the mouth, drop the shoulders. This should begin to loosen those tight pec muscles in the chest, those traps in the back, and the shoulders. Good. Do a few of those at your pace. And I should say, if you're not able to get down onto the floor, onto a mat, feel free to do this from a chair. Most of these poses, you can get the full expression nicely from a chair as well. So don't feel like you have to get down onto the floor. Nice. Few more rotations towards the back. Lift and drop. Good. Now, bring the rotation towards the front. Lift the shoulders, drop the chest. Lift the shoulders, drop the chest at your pace. Nice. When you're done with those, meet me back in the center. Drop the shoulders to their normal positions. Continue the scan down your body, checking the space behind the chest, in the front and back and sides of the body. Notice if your hips are feeling tighter, if you begin to release them into the floor, into the chair. Continue to scan down the body into the belly. Notice if your breaths have begun to slowly decrease as you're starting to move inward with your practice. Nice. Coming down to the hips, making sure that the hips are beginning to release any tension that you may have been feeling there. They should be starting to soften as you continue to scan down to the tops, the fronts and backs of the legs, tops and bottom, and into the soles of the feet. When you're ready, take a nice deep breath. Bring the arms straight up overhead. Bring the hands to heart center. And right here, I want you to set an intention for your practice. Move as fast or as slow as you deem fit for your practice. This is your practice in which you will be able to fully engage every piece of you. Every noise that you hear, every thought that you have, allow them to come in and then slowly drift away. Right here as we set our intention, what is it that you need to get and gather from this practice for yourself? I ask you to take charge of your health and your well-being for you. This is the only body that we ever get. So our ability to show up every day in its best form is what we should be doing. Take a deep breath in. As we seal the intention, bring the hands to our center and gently fold forward from the waist. Coming up, back to center, and opening the eyes when you're ready. All right, who's ready to move? So from here, if you're able, I want you to come onto all fours. Your hands are going to be just underneath the shoulders, and your knees are hip distance apart. Hopefully you can see me like this, but I will also turn sideways. The hands are underneath the shoulders. Your knees are hip distance apart. We will start with cat-cow. Inhale to cat. Arch the back. Lower the head to the floor. Exhale to cow. Push your hips back to the wall behind you. Inhale to cat. Arch the back. Exhale to cow. Notice if you have any tension in the body, and that is the space in which you need to work to begin to release that tightness. It's okay if you do, because many of us don't move often enough to really notice the nice yumminess that our body offers us every day. Exhale to cat. Inhale to cat. Exhale to cat. Do a few more of those at your pace. If you're in a chair, come to the edge of the seat or come to a standing position behind the seat. Make sure it's not a rolling seat though. We don't want any accidents. Inhale to cat. Exhale to cow. The more that you can get into this stretch, the better it should feel on that low back. Last one. Inhale to cat. Exhale to cow. All right. From here, bring the knees wide onto the mat, and then bring your bottom back towards your heels as close as you can get them. Bring the arms straight out in front of you. Rest the forearms onto the mat. Bring your head, your forehead down to the mat and rest. This is called child's pose and is the resting pose. As we move through this practice, if you find that you are super tight, tired, or need to catch your breath, this is the pose that you want to come to. You can also make a kickstand with your hands. Place them on the forehead and rest here. Take a few deep breaths here. Good. When you're ready, bring the hands back to the mat. Come into all fours again. And then I want you to push yourself up into down dog. So this position, just bring your legs straight out behind you. The goal here is to get the heels as close to the mat as possible. Bring the top of the head down to the mat. You're making a V shape with your body. From here, walk your hands to your feet and come up into a standing position. Inhale, arms all the way up. Exhale, arms down to your side. Good. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, fold forward. Bring your hands to your thighs, your shins, or to the mat, whichever is more comfortable. Exhale, fold the body in half. Hold it tight. Take a few deep breaths here. Nice. If you're a little tight in the calves, you can bend at the knee just slightly. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, arms to the side. We're going to do 4 more of those. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Bend at the knee if you need to. Bring the hands to the thighs, the shins, or the mat, whichever is more comfortable. Bring the top of the head to the mat. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, arms to the side. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward at your pace. Make sure you're breathing. Every breath helps make you more open, more invigorated to make your way through the pose. It supports your ability to flow and remove the stagnation in the body. It provides oxygen to the blood and to the brain, which helps support all of the daily activities that we need to do. Inhale, arms all the way up. Exhale, arms to the side. Good. Shake the legs out. All right, when you're ready, at the top of your mat, make sure that your feet are facing forward and that you actually have contact with your big toe, your little toe, and each side of the feet on your heels. This is your foundation. Bring the feet hip distance apart. Bring the arms straight up overhead. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift that gaze. Exhale, walk your feet back into that down dog. Pedal the legs if you need to. They may be a little tight on the backs of the thighs. Bring the forehead in towards the body, bringing the top of the head down towards the mat, making room in the shoulders. So don't crunch in these shoulders. Keep the shoulders nice and soft. From here, I want you to roll forward into the hands, but don't collapse into the wrists. Drop your knees to the mat. Drop the tops of the feet to the mat. Drop your chest. Push up. And then push back into down dog. Walk your feet to your hands. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, arms to the side. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift the gaze. Exhale, push back, down dog. Take your time here. You want to feel the nice stretch in this low back. When you're ready, drop the knees. Drop the tops of the feet. Drop the chest. Push up. Push back into down dog. And when you're ready, walk your feet to your hands. Coming to the top of the mat. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, arms to the side. Good. From here, bring the left foot back at a 45-degree, keeping the right foot facing forward. Bend the right knee slightly forward. Bring the right forearm over the right knee. Your left hand at the base of your low back for some support. You can stay here or turn your chest to the wall to the side, lifting that left arm straight up overhead. Taking a few deep breaths here. Good. When you're ready, bring the left arm straight out behind, the right arm straight in front. Still with the right knee slightly bent. Bring the left foot to meet the right, hands to heart center, arms down to your side. Good, we'll do that one more time. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift your gaze. Exhale, push back, down dog. When you're ready, drop your knees to the mat. Drop the tops of the feet to the mat. Drop your chest to the mat. Push up. Push back into down dog. This time, walk your hands back towards your feet. Come all the way to standing. Arms down to your side. Bring the left foot forward. Toes are facing forward. Right foot is at a 45-degree. Bring the left forearm to the left knee. Right hand comes to the base of the lower back for support. Turn the chest to the right side wall. Bring the right hand up. Take a few breaths here. Nice. When you're ready, keeping the left knee bent, bring the left arm straight out in front. Right arm straight out behind you. Bring your right foot to meet the left. Bring your hands down to the side. Good. From here, come sideways on your mat with your feet hip distance apart, hands on your hips, and we're going to fold from the waist. Slowly at your pace, making sure you're breathing on your way down. When you make it to the mat, if you're able, bring your hands flat on the mat. If you can't get all the way here, feel free to bring your hands to your shins or to your thighs, whichever is more comfortable. But the full expression is the hands down onto the mat. You should feel a nice stretch in the inner thigh, backs of the legs, and the lower back here. If you're able, begin to walk your feet out just a little bit wider so that you feel a nice deeper stretch. Few breaths here. Walk your hands straight out in front of you. So now you're beginning to engage the upper body. Nice stretch. Few breaths here. Walk your hands back to center. And for a little extra challenge, walk those hands back towards your bottom. The head comes down towards the mat. Good. When you're ready, bring the hands back to center. Begin to walk the feet back in. When you get them to a comfortable position close together, bring the hands to the hips and slowly rise to standing. Bring the feet together and face the front of your mat. All right, come down to seated position, either with the legs crossed or straight out in front of you, whichever is more comfortable, and just shake them out. As we begin the cool down here, this should not be too bad. This should be a nice little stretch. All right, bring the right foot over the left knee. Left hand grabs the right knee. You're twisting to the right as your right palm comes behind you, lifting the chest, lifting the back. Good. When you're ready, release that right leg down. Bring the left foot over the left knee. Right hand to left knee. Twist to your left. Lift the chest and breathe. Good. Come back to center. Rotate again. Switch sides. Each time you do it, you should feel yourself get a little deeper into the twist, a little bit more open. And if you're not, that's okay. It takes time. If you haven't done this type of stretching or practice before, it takes a little time. Go at your pace. Every practice is your practice. Work at your body's capacity, knowing that it will meet you exactly where you are. Good. Come back to center. Bring the soles of the feet together. Allow the hips to just fall open and gently press the knees down. Nice. Bring the knees together. Legs straight out in front. All right, as we begin to wind down the practice, I'm actually going to turn this way so you can see a little bit better. I want you to bring your knees to your chest. If you're able, grab the outsides of either foot. Bring the soles of the feet together. Bring the knees in tight to the chest. Take a few breaths here. This stretch you should feel in your lower back, the upper back. Do not strain your neck here. If you need a little support, maybe a pillow or blanket, A block would be nice. All right. Release the feet, bring the knees together, and then gently raise the legs into straight up overhead. Then drop the knees into a 90-degree. Slowly raise the feet straight. Lower the knees, 90 degrees. Raise the feet straight. Nice. From here, slowly begin to lower the feet to the mat. Don't strain the back and don't flop the feet. When the feet get to the mat, bring the hands straight up overhead as if someone's pulling the hands over your head. And then your feet straight out in front as if someone's pulling the feet, stretching you from both ends. Nice. Make sure you're engaging the breaths. Inhale through the mouth, nose. Exhale through the mouth. Bring the hands straight out to either side into a T position. Bring the soles of the feet to the mat. With the knees together, drop your knees to your left as you're twisting from the waist. For a little bit deeper stretch here, look to your right with your knees dropped to the left. Take a deep breath in. Knees together, drop the knees to the right. Look to your left. Nice. Last one, bring the knees straight together. Bring the hands straight up overhead. And then just drop your legs straight out in front of you. And you're gonna lie flat on your back here in a resting position for about 2 minutes. Good. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. As you begin to come out of this pose, I want you to roll onto your left side as if you were in a fetal position, using your hand as a pillow, and your right hand you will use to push yourself up. Make your way to seated, however is most comfortable. And again, thank you so much for taking this journey through movement and breath with me. I hope that this gives you a kickstart and to help you taking your wellness to a whole nother level. And before we go, I'd just like to read you just one little thing. This is Dare to Self-Care. Speak kindly to your inner self. Don't take your demon's view. You are you, and no one else will lead the life that you do. Kill your inner critic and silence all his chatter. Then write this truth inside your brain. I'm worth it and I matter. Every day is a new day to make a new decision and get it right. Thank you again for allowing me to guide you through this practice. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. at info@sacredsoulwellness.org, or you may reach me via my website at www.sacredsoulwellness.org. I am Dr. Tiffany, and thank you so much for joining the practice.